Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. You're watching the PCC Airfoils Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. PCC Airfoils, keeping the engines of change moving forward. Booyah!
Welcome one and all to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on WKYC. We are so happy to have you with us today. A lot to talk about, and we'll get right to it. I'm Adam the Bull, and on today's show, we'll talk about, can the Browns' offense lead the way to a victory over the Broncos? G. Bush.
I'm G. Bush, leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia, and I'm going to tell you why an undrafted free agent in the secondary might play a big role this week in Denver. Jason?
And I'm Jason Lloyd. If it's a holiday weekend and you can't watch the game Sunday, we got you covered. We have pre-written headlines. We're going to tell you what happens before the game even is played. Mikey.
And it's not just Browns-Broncos this weekend. It's also Ohio State versus Michigan. And Tyvis Powell, who's never lost to Michigan in his career, is looking to keep that unbroken and undefeated streak perfect this weekend with his pick for the big game.
There are only freshmen at Ohio State that could say that now, unfortunately. We'll see if they can end that losing streak. Guys, let's get right to it. A defensive back. The Browns have had a ton of injuries this year, but they've mostly been on the offense. But now, for the first time, injuries are rearing their ugly head on the defense. Last week, Anthony Walker was out, but really right now we're focused on the secondary. Juan Thornhill missed yesterday's game. Grant, he is practicing, which is good because I thought he'd be out this week. He is banged up, though. He's questionable. He got a limited practice in today. So did Grant Delpit, who got hurt last week. Denzel Ward has not practiced all week and is expected to miss the game. Guys, and G, I'll start with you. How big a deal is this that the Browns are banged up in the secondary?
Pretty big deal. I think, you look at Russell Wilson, he's been efficient, effective, 19 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions this year. They got a big body in Cortland Sutton, who's a guy who's been playing well. Jerry Jeudy they have out there as well. So, those are, we've been able to match up our corners with just whoever's out there and shut guys down with Newsome and Ward and Emerson. You're not going to have Denzel Ward today. And you might not even have Thornhill up to expectations. You may see guys that Ronnie Hickman out of Ohio State had a couple of interceptions during the preseason, filling in with Rodney McLeod being out for the season. So they're going to have to mix some stuff up back there in the back end. And this is where having multiple corners comes into play. Greg Newsome has mixed into those positions before, got an interception against Seattle, and Emerson's been out there all year. We'll see how they go to bring that pressure, but it's a big blow.
Thornhill's sort of looking like the key to me because his backup is out now too, and Rodney McLeod. So if Thornhill can't go, you're down to an undrafted rookie at that spot. And we've already pointed out on the YouTube show how many times, when Thornhill's not out there, it leads to big plays defensively. They haven't given up a ton, but the few that they have, a couple of them is when Thornhill has been out there to make the tackle. So that's really the one that I'm watching. You're not going to have Denzel. Martin's going to be fine on one side. I feel comfortable with Greg Newsome on the other. But it's that safety play that really is a concern right now. Denver can throw the ball. Russ, G talked about it. Russ is having a great year. Jerry Jeudy's okay as a receiver. Cortland Sutton is, I think, pretty good. So the Browns are going to have the work cut out for them. These injuries are significant right now.
Guys, I agree with you. I think this is a pretty big deal. I mean, it now depends on who's ultimately playing. But if Thornhill and Delpit both can't go, now you're talking about 3 of your 5 starting DBs not playing. As you mentioned, their number 3 safety is already out for the year. If you end up if both of them are out, we don't know. They're both limited. Maybe they're both going to play. You could have 2 undrafted rookies who have barely played. A guy who was just on the practice squad as your second safety. I mean, that is a major concern in this game. The Browns have been winning by playing elite-level defense. They have not, and we'll get into it in a second, whether maybe that'll change. But to this point, they have not been able to win many games with their offense. The defense has carried the load, and if you're missing 3 of your 5 DBs, that could change how this game turns out. Hopefully, with the limited practices, Thornhill and Delpit will both play.
The scary part with Thornhill is it's a calf, and those things can trigger at any moment. You think you're
100%.
okay, and it just takes one play, turn it on it wrong, and you're back out.
And Bull, you look at it, the Browns have really excelled at playing man-to-man coverage. How much are they going to be able to carry that game plan over if you got guys in the back end that are fresh, young guys who haven't played? That's a really big part of what Jim Schwartz wants to run. So we'll see how much he runs man-to-man coverage versus zone in this game.
We've had some breaking news in the past couple of weeks on this show here on WKYC. So if we get anything in the next 20-some-odd minutes while we're here, if there's anything about the game status, my guess is Denzel Ward could be ruled out today since he hasn't practiced at all. But I'm assuming he's not going to play at this point. Thornhill and Delpit, and that's a big loss. But you could survive it because you have two other good corners, and certainly for 1 week. But Thornhill and Delpit, this is huge. All right, Mike, let's switch it up. Let's get to now. I just talked about how they've had to win with the defense. Let's say the secondary is ravaged. Let's say Thornhill doesn't play. Can the Browns win this game with their offense? If they have to score 20 points, if they have to score 24 or 27, do you have confidence that they can do it with DTR leading the way?
Well, we're going to see. I'd be surprised to see how it works, Bull. You look at a situation where you got Kevin Stefanski. We all saw that he had the training wheels on DTR last week. This week, I think if he feels comfortable, look at the numbers for the Denver Broncos. They're middle of the road when it comes to stopping the run, middle of the road when it comes to the pass defense. If they find a couple of matchups that they like, guess what? Then we may be able to go off script a little bit and get more downfield action early in the game, Jason.
Do I have confidence they can go the length of the field? No, I don't, because we haven't seen it yet. So how do you have confidence in something you haven't seen? They got one touchdown last week against the Steelers. That came off a short field after they held Pittsburgh and made them punt.
Right.
So if they can create turnovers and get short fields again, yeah, okay. But if you expect this offense to start at the 25 or 30 and go 70, 75 yards methodically down the field without a big defensive bust, no, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And that's why it comes back to you got to hold on to the ball. You can't turn the ball over. Can't give Denver a short field. And you really have to rely. The Browns the last few weeks have done a nice job at creating turnovers. They didn't get any last week, but prior to that, they're getting a couple of game that's really going to be key. Whether it's fumbles, strip sacks, interceptions, you have to set this offense up with short fields because I don't have a lot of confidence in them being able to go the length of the field.
And I think expecting turnovers in this game is a lot to expect because, in the last bunch of weeks outside of Lamar, the Browns have faced mostly bad quarterbacks. Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over much. Last year, it was an anomaly, I think. Last year, I think we all felt like he was falling apart, and he had a terrible season. Now, I don't think he's as good as he was in his best at Denver. In Seattle. But he's closer to that guy than he was the guy we saw last year. And something that he's always been good at is not turning the ball over. And Russell Wilson only has 4 interceptions on the year. I mean, that's a great number. He's hard to pick off. And without Denzel Ward, who's your best interceptor,
right,
it's hard to rely on a turnover. I mean, you never know. You cause a fumble, things happen. But I think going into this game, you got to hope it's a turnover-free game for the Browns because I don't have a ton of faith in the Browns forcing a turnover unless Myles Garrett can get a strip sack. I think that's your best hope.
Oh, yeah, that's where the defensive line that you're preaching in, get the ball out, strip sacks, that's where the turnovers will come this week.
But I am not confident the Browns can win a higher scoring game. I think, and we'll get to the scores later, but I think for the Browns to win most of their games, it's got to be a game in the teens or single digits.
Now, I do think DTR is probably going to – he should improve, right? The more you do something, the better you get at it. We could throw out the first start against Baltimore. That was atrocious. So now you have something to build off last week. He has another full week of practice reps. Right. I do expect them to try and open up the game plan a little bit more, take a couple more deep shots down the field. If I'm Denver's DC, I'm watching the second half of last week's game, how the Steelers sat on all the Broncos routes. They were playing 8 in the box, and they took away everything short because the Browns weren't going long. Eventually, the Browns have to take a deep shot, play action, deep shot on third down, do something to try and loosen up this defense. And if you can get lucky and break one, you got a chance.
Jason, who's your X factor in this game?
It's Dorian. It's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and it's the turnovers. It all comes back to turnovers. I don't care about completion percentage. I don't care about yards. I care about the turnover column, because if you're giving Denver a short field to work on, the Browns are going to be in trouble. He's got to take care of the football. Can't turn the ball over. Can't force it into bad spots. He did a really nice job last week at getting the ball out on time and on target. He has to do that again.
G, who you got?
I'm going to go over the defensive side of football and go with Sione Takitaki. He's going to be filling in for Anthony Walker. He's going to be in the Mike position. He played well at Mike last year in spurt duty. But, he has to get running backs on the ground. Guys, the Browns have given up, back-to-back weeks. You look at the Ravens game, long runs against the Ravens. You look at the Warren run last week, 70-something yards. For them to get to the third downs, they're going to need guys to get guys on the grounds, especially with Grant Delpit being banged up. I'm looking for Taki to be a guy that could get those guys on the ground. If he plays well, get it to third down, then you could get the monsters Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith into action.
My X factor for this game, guys, is a guy I love, Dustin Hopkins.
D-Hop. Yeah.
The great, of course, D-Hop. What a great nickname he's got. Dustin Hopkins has been amazing this year. He's made the kick almost every time they've needed him. He's perfect beyond 50 yards. Denver, we've seen a lot of long field goals in Denver. Jason, you talked about it. The Browns are going to have a hard time maintaining drives. So what might we see? We might see a few drives stall out at the Bronco 40, maybe even the Bronco 37, maybe even the 45, and we're trying a 60-plus yard field goal. I think usually when you think of aggressiveness from a head coach, it's on offense. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to be aggressive in terms of kicking field goals. I think we could see Dustin Hopkins try a field goal of 60-plus in Denver, as long as it's not crazy weather, which we'll check on in a little bit. And I think he'll be the X factor in the Browns getting the victory. All right, we're going to take a break. But when we come back, Ohio State, Michigan, we got Tyvis coming up with that in a little bit. Also, how many points can the Browns score? How many points can we expect from their offense? That's coming up on the PCC Airfoils Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on WKYC. Thank you for joining us. Got some updates on the Browns at practice. Ogbo Okoronkwo. I think I actually pronounced that correctly.
Close.
I don't know. Ogbo not practicing today, guys. He was limited the last 2 days, but he did not practice at all today. Good news, on the other hand, Anthony Walker, who got hurt, of course, he left the game last week, was practicing today. Quickly, I know we weren't planning on talking about, but quick thoughts on Ogbo. 2 limited practices and then no practice today. That doesn't sound good.
They need him. They need him out there. That's part of it, especially when you got a light secondary. Need the D-line to step up. It'll be huge if they don't have Ogbo.
He's had a couple flash plays these last couple of weeks. He's a great specialist, third down type pass rusher. It's a big loss. It's a big loss if he's not out there.
Man, the Browns have just been battered by injuries.
Injuries are part of the game.
It
we know
is.
That, but it has been unbelievably crippling. I saw a stat last week. I think we talked about it. They have the highest percentage of their salary cap on IR this year of any team in the league. They've just been destroyed.
In past years, fans have said, we got hurt more than other teams, and I never thought that was true. But this year
it's true.
The Browns have really taken it. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, we spoke about the defense and how the defense has allowed the Browns to stay in some games where the offense wasn't up to par. But this week, it may take I don't want to say heroic, but a much better offensive performance, and that comes with DTR being a little more aggressive than he was last week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So do you guys think he has that in him? And if so, how aggressive should the Browns be with
DTR?
DTR?
That's the question. How aggressive should the Browns be, do you think, with DTR throwing downfield? And do you think they will be?
I think they'll be more aggressive than they were against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at why they had the game plan. We talked about it during our YouTube show. Look at our tackles. You had two tackles that were going against two of the best defensive ends in the game, Highsmith and T.J. Watt. So you're going to be a little more conservative. But you're going into this game. I don't really know the names of these guys on the Denver Broncos, not saying that they can't be good or whatever the case may be. But if there was any game that you would look to, maybe sneak some more aggressive play calls down the field, it would probably be this game, right? You know, you can take a few shots here or there, and the goal for the Browns, and the goal is every week is, hey, get the lead, play from a position of power, and let your defensive line, let your defense dictate where they're going to be at.
Go back to the first game you played against Baltimore. It was a disaster, but they were taking shots. Almost too many. It was too many. It was too many shots down the field they were taking. So it is in there. You know it's in there. And now he's had really 2 weeks of practice, all of last week and all of this week. Yeah, I do think that they will. But the Browns' key to success on offense this year, because of all the injuries we've talked about, it's heavy offensive linemen, it's extra offensive linemen, it's extra tight ends, short passes, screen passes, play action, deep shots on third down. That's the way. It's the best formula to success. We didn't really see the deep shots last week. I do think we'll see them on Sunday, just to try and break things up, just to try and loosen it up. Otherwise, Denver's going to play 8 in the box the whole game.
I think they have to be more aggressive in this game, and I believe Kevin Stefanski will be. Now, part of it's game script, right? If you jump, part of the reason I think the Browns were so not aggressive last week is because they jumped up 10-0 on the Steelers. You don't need to be overly aggressive when it's 10-0 until they had to at the end of the game. If this game is the same thing, if they get off to a 10-0 lead, yeah, they're going to play even more conservative like we saw last week. However, when you look at the fact that the Broncos have very little pass rush, least amount of sacks in the league, and like the Steelers, big-time pass rush, Broncos, no pass rush. That would make me think, I have time to throw the ball downfield. Number two, the Steelers, because of Kenny Pickett, turned the ball over. They didn't last week, but generally they have. The Broncos don't turn the ball over. So, A, you should have time to throw because the Broncos don't have a good pass rush. And B, the Broncos are not likely to turn it over, giving you a short field. So I think Kevin Stefanski is going to realize that. It wouldn't even surprise me if the first offensive play of the game was a long pass down the field. That would not shock me if it happened. I expect the Browns to be very aggressive in this game, not quite to the Baltimore level, but certainly a lot more than they've been because they want to open things up, if nothing else, for the running game. And that should happen if they take a few shots because the Broncos' run defense hasn't been good. All right, Mikey, what do you got for us?
Guys, if you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Bull, what's up next?
Coming up next, our buddy Tyvis. He was here, and he is going to predict who is going to win. Ohio State, Michigan. The biggest game in college football of the year. Can Ohio State pull it off? We'll see. With Tyvis joins us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show next. Welcome back. It's the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC Channel 3. Hey, if you're not watching us on YouTube, where you been? Every weekday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we do this show on YouTube. We have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a great time, and a lot of Browns analysis, and Guardians as Cavs as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube and hit that like button and join us. You get alerts every time we put out something live. All right, now, Coach Tyvis. He's not a coach this time. Now he's a predictor. He's a seer of the future. Who will win Ohio State, Michigan? Let's send it to Tyvis and our own Mikey McNuggets.
Thanks, Bull. Well, we're here with our Ohio State Buckeye 2015 National Championship game. MVP is Tyvis Powell. He never lost to Michigan.
That's correct.
In his career, he has 4 pairs of gold pants. He might have more just because he likes to dress a little crazy. But as far as this rivalry goes, you have 4 pairs of gold pants. And Tyvis, before we get into this year's game, what's your favorite memory from your playing days of beating up on those Wolverines?
Well, actually, it's 2015. It was the last time that I got to play them. The reason that one was special and it's a memory of mine is because we had lost our senior night to Michigan State that year, and it was a big divide between the players and the coaches. Obviously, the players thought that the coaches didn't help us win our last game, and I had no idea what to expect going into that game. And it was the first time in a very long time that that team said, you know what, forget the coaches, forget the fans, forget everybody. We're going to play for each other. We're going to play. You my brother, you my teammate. I'm going to go out here and go as hard as I can against this team for you. And we ended up beating them pretty bad. So that was my favorite memory.
Now, Jim Harbaugh will not be on the sidelines for Michigan in this game. He's serving that 3-game suspension. Yeah. And if you could see Tyvis's face, he kind of smirked there because he understands that A win may not mean as much without Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines. He's beaten the Buckeyes 2 years in a row. Tyvis, how does that whole element change, if at all?
Yeah.
What this game means for Ohio State?
Well, not having Jim on the sideline, I mean, that's a big thing for them. Obviously, I don't know how much he does X's and O's wise, but he's a great motivator. And even as a former player, I wanted him to be on that sideline for the simple fact for Ryan Day. You know, Ryan Day hasn't been able to beat him in the past couple of years. And I think the best way to overcome challenges is to face them head on. Jim Harbaugh has been in the way, has stopped you from winning the Big Ten championship for the past 2 years. I wanted Ryan Day to be able to look him in the eye after the game and know that I beat you man to man. Now that he's not there, he's going up against an interim head coach, Sharon Moore, and I just think it's not going to be the same. I mean, if he wins, if Ohio State wins this game, people's excuses will be it's because Jim Harbaugh is not on that sideline. And I just don't like that. I don't like having asterisks next to wins.
If Ohio State is to beat Michigan, what has to happen on Saturday?
Well, I think it starts defensively. I mean, for the last couple of years, just last year in particular, they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter alone in that game. And
Can't happen.
That's terrible. So they've done a really good job of fixing that. And not only did they fix it, they haven't allowed more than 7 points in a second half of a game this year, except for against Notre Dame. Notre Dame scored 14. Outside of that, they've only given up 7 the entire year from every team. So if they can continue that, obviously that will help them win this game. But I think the X factor of this game is that offensive line. If that offensive line could get pushed and get to the next level and get those blocks on those linebackers, the way Travion Henderson's been running the ball lately, I think that'll help them win this game.
So, Tyvis, you didn't ever lose to Michigan.
Correct.
As an analyst.
Yeah.
Let's see if you keep that undefeated record going strong. Who wins on Saturday between the Buckeyes and Michigan?
Well, I believe the Buckeyes do win this game for the simple fact that I think that defense is legit. I think that this game is one of those games where Marvin Harrison gets going. Kyle McCord finds his confidence early on in that game, and I think it's a lot of motivation behind it. I got the Buckeyes winning this game 21-17.
21-17. That's Tyvis Powell. Bull, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Browns predictions and headlines and Buckeyes predictions. Will they win the big game? Coming up next on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on WKYC. It's now time to find out the results of the Browns game before it happens. We start off with Jason with his headline for this week.
Oh, this one makes my heart hurt a little bit, but I got to take Denver in a mile-high meltdown. DTR throws 2 picks. Browns lose to Broncos 20-10. I don't like the injuries on the Browns side of the defensive side of the ball for Cleveland. And I just think it's his first game on the road, DTR, in that environment. That could be a hostile place to play. And I've said it all day, it comes down to turnovers. And I just think that they're going to struggle moving the football. And if he throws a couple of picks, it's game over.
Well, I can't disagree there. If he does throw 2 picks, the Browns will probably lose this game. I'm a little more optimistic. Mike, let's hit my headline here. I had the Browns winning a low-scoring game last week. I got it again this week. History changed again. Newsome picks off Wilson to secure Cleveland win. I've got the Browns winning this one 17-13. I had a low-scoring game last week. Again this week, guys. I think the Browns will get it done with defense. I'm glad I picked Newsome and not Denzel Ward because Denzel Ward's probably not going to play in this game. When I say history changed again, it's because the Browns have struggled in Denver.
Oh, we know.
We definitely
Obviously.
know. But we didn't have DTR at quarterback, and I got the Browns. I got the Browns winning again. Browns riding mile high. Hopkins continues his clutch kicking as Browns move to 8-3. I think this is a low-scoring affair. I would pick somewhere around 20-17. Last second
like
drive, Hopkins kicks a 59-yarder to seal the deal.
Mikey.
How about this? A rated DTR victory. It's more gruesome to watch than a Saw movie, but we'll take it. I pick a 13-9 win for the Cleveland Browns as they also, just like G said, improve to 8-3 on the season.
All right, y'all put me out on an island. That's all right.
That's right.
That's all right.
Tyvis picked the Buckeyes to win. G, are you with him?
I don't know, man. I can't call it. I'm gonna go and nope. I changed it in the middle of what? Get the ball to Maserati Marv. He's the hottest thing in the game. If you throw him the ball every time, you wouldn't get the dub.
I'm
Jason,
not
real
going
quick.
against Cleveland and Ohio State. Give me Ohio State to beat Michigan.
I got Michigan winning 28-21. Mike.
Give me Ohio State 31-17. No Stallions, no chance for the Michigan Wolverines.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's bad. Ohio State better win. I hope I'm wrong with my prediction, but if I'm right, Ryan Day has to be fired.
Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh both be
You're
in the
fired,
NFL next
Ryan
year.
Day. If you lose to Ohio State, you better win this freaking game. Thanks as always for joining us. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you next time on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace.